Welcome to the Black Infant Health Podcast series. The California Black Infant Health Program aims to improve health among Black mothers and babies by empowering pregnant and mothering Black women. I'm your host, Cameron Green, and today's topic is rest and resistance, working moms, burnout, and boundaries. And I am so ready to get into it because if you know, like I know, life be lifing. But we've got some fantastic ladies here to talk a little bit about how the Black Infant Health Project is assisting them and also how they are working in tandem with the program to be able to create safe spaces for our moms. All right, ladies, hello. So we're going to have some fun. Like I said before, this is kitchen table conversation. So we're going to relax and enjoy ourselves. But before we begin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Alita Lilly. I am a first-time mom to the most beautiful baby in the world, Julian, who is 13 months.
Oh, I love that. He's a cutie, too.
He is.
How about you? Hello and welcome.
Hello, I'm Angela Dixon Hamlet, and I am the program manager for Black Infant Health Long Beach, Long Beach, and also the mental health professional.
I love that. I forgot my cue for Long Beach. Absolutely. Alita, your little boy is adorable.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about burnout.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your experience with burnout as a whole. I mean, you are a relatively new mom, I'm assuming.
Yes.
How are you managing burnout? And what does burnout mean to you? We say it a lot, but I think it's an individual experience.
It is an individual experience. And I think culturally, there's not much of a burnout for Black women because we keep going.
Yeah.
Because we have to. I'm also a single mom. So although I co-parent with his dad, he's with me most of the time, and he doesn't care if I'm tired. You know, we have to keep going. His needs do not stop just because I need to rest.
Right.
So I will say I just returned back to work. It's been about 5 weeks or so. So there's an adjustment. I was fortunate enough to have the first year of his life with him, but now it's not fun. Yeah, I don't like being a working parent. I wish there were things in place that would allow us to spend more time with our kids during these important developmental phases, but I have to support us.
Absolutely. And I just want to say you're doing a great job. I see the care and I see the container you're building of safe space for your little one. And I want to commend you for that. How do you know, though, like as you're moving about, and I think single moms are superheroes. Shout out to my mom who raised a strong one and 5 boys at that on top of me. How do you know in your body that you're not feeling your best? How are you paying attention to managing that burnout?
Well, it starts with these dark circles. You see them underneath these eyes.
No, girl, you look good.
Thank you, but they're there, and if you don't see them, I see them. Yeah. My body definitely tells me, and while it will say, "Hey, you need to stop," I just can't. Like there's just not an option to stop. I have to get up in the morning. The alarm goes off. I don't want to roll out of bed. Sometimes I'm like, just give me 15 more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't have 15 more minutes. I sleep as long as I possibly can. And then I have to get up. I have to deal with the day of getting through and work, which is a struggle in and of itself, and then get home and be mom all over again. So I try to listen to my body as much as possible, but I oftentimes push through because I need to.
Yeah. That's real. And I feel you on that. Angela, as a BIH mental health professional, talk to us a little bit about how and what you're seeing around the areas of burnout with some of the women that come in the center.
Well, I think the first thing is, defining burnout. We try to help them understand what that may look like.
How do you define it?
It's really about exhaustion, mentally, physically, psychologically. But again, as Black women, we push through it.
That's right.
And we go into the superwoman syndrome. So we do see our moms struggling sometimes with being overly tired. Sometimes they have problems with bonding with their babies, some depression, anxiety. So we really try to help them look at the symptoms, both the low-level ones as well as the high-level ones. And as my mother would always say, a closed mouth don't get fed. So we encourage them to talk, share, let us know so that we can help them help themselves.
Yeah. What are some of the things you see? What are specific examples so that our listening audience and our viewing audience will know how to recognize the signs of burnout? So the mothers who are driving around listening to this can say, I identify with that, or I see myself in that symptom, and maybe I should talk to someone. What sort of symptoms do you see, or how would you categorize what someone should be looking for when it comes to burnout?
I think the main thing that we hear about is when people lose interest in the things that they normally would have enjoyment out of. Sometimes there's isolation where you're not getting out of the house. Um, Sometimes it has to do with your moodiness, seeing that change a lot during the time that you're, with the baby, as well as sometimes when you're not with them. So all those kinds of things really indicated. Sometimes your appetite changes, so it's really looking for that change, because we want them to understand that, we value how they're feeling and that they're being seen and heard.
Absolutely. I love that. Alita, what are some of the boundaries you're creating when we talk about burnout? And I appreciate everything you just highlighted and uplifted, Angela, around that, because I do think it is important that we're paying attention to signs. And I think we get on the go. And as moms moving at a rapid pace, right? Like you said, things don't stop for you. So how are you creating healthy boundaries for yourself to be able to push that pause button?
Well, first I start with my work boundaries. When it hits 4:30, I'm out. Don't don't call me.
Ask me to come.
Don't ask me to come earlier. Don't ask me to stay later. I'm again fortunate enough. My job understands I have a child at home, and so far hasn't asked any of that of me. But even if they did, I'd have to decline because I need to get home to my child. So starting there, within my family and friends, understanding, and again, this is a shift for us because I spent the first 12 and a half months home with my kids. So now that I'm back at work, it's a shift for everybody, not just me, not just my son, my family, my friends. A friend just said to me the other day, I was gonna come by, and then I realized, oh, you got a real job, like you're back at work. And I said, yeah, I miss that as well. But so now they're starting to understand a little more. I'm not available to them because I'm mom, but I'm also friend. I'm also sister. I have 5 brothers as well.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of 6. So I have family who needs me and wants me to do certain things. And Julian has been a really good excuse of I can't do it. The baby won't, I got to do this with the baby, or just, being able to not use him, but like let them know that this is now my priority. Like this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
So
Was it always like that though? Were you always pushing the boundary button and saying Julian needs my support, or vice versa? I need a minute to be able to take care of Julian, need to care for myself.
Yes.
When did you were you always implementing those boundaries, or did you get to a point where you said something's got to give?
I've always been like that from day one. With certain people, with my family, with my friends, they understand. It hasn't been bad. Like there was maybe a little struggle in the beginning, with my mom more than anyone, of her understanding some things, and I get it. I had a child later in life, so there was 42 years of me being available to people. I didn't have a kid at 21,
Yeah.
and then they only know young Alita. Like, no, this is Alita, the aunt who does everything. I'm the only girl. So, there's a lot of expectations in my family. Somebody said I was the matriarch of our family. And I was like, what?
Don't put that on.
Yeah. I'm like, no, that's old.
It's an honor though, but I feel you on that.
No.
I feel you.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, right.
Right.
So there were expectations of me that people had, and it changed.
Yeah.
It changed immediately. While most of them were supportive, some had to get with the program.
Wow.
But I was really clear about it. Like, this is what I have to do first.
Good for you. And what do you say to someone who is struggling with those boundaries? Because it's clear that you've identified what works for you.
Yeah.
And I love that for you. But what about someone who you think is not as vocal for themselves and not as much of an advocate for themselves? What advice would you give them around that?
It definitely, because it's not about us, and I hate this, and I know they have even told us. I remember in one of our classes, one of the instructors was talking to us about like taking care of ourselves first before even our children, which I get. Listen, in my career, I'm a flight attendant, and we tell people you got to put your mask on first before you help people. So I've been saying this for years.
It's true.
Implementation is a whole different thing, because in my mind, I'm like, no, my kid comes first, right? And I remember them saying we have to take this time for ourselves, and I was like, I don't really want the time for myself. I like my kid, I don't need a break from him. I want to spend time with him. And everybody's not like that, right? I'm
It's true.
so fortunate. I have a amazing child. We are like the best. We are in sync with each other, but I get that everybody doesn't have that. And so I would say like you just got to put this kid first, but also because I haven't been in the situation where I don't know how to do that. And overcoming that, I can only imagine would be hard. And then that's when I would say you need to reach out to your resources.
Yes.
And me and another, like our class formed a group that we still communicate to this day outside of the program. And people all the time in the group chat are like, I'm having a hard time. And it's just like flowing with love and support. And it's amazing. We need that.
Yeah, you hit on a key word and you said support. And I can tell that that has been sort of the catalyst to get you where you need to go into that healthy space. And Angela, talk a little bit about the examples that BIH provides to create the supportive containers for these women. I hear pride and saying, I've got my boundaries in order. What are you sharing with these women about who they should be in terms of their boundaries? And what examples are you providing in the classes to help them, learn what that looks like?
Well, let me first of all say that Alita is a role model for the participants
Indeed.
who really embraced Black infant health and really took in everything that we had to offer. She attended regularly, she came to different functions, and that's who we find really benefits so much out of Black infant health is when you not only enroll and participate, but you also lean into what we're talking about. You're sharing, you're participating, and you're talking to your sisters and creating that sisterhood, because that's a really important centering that we try to do with the ladies, and really talking to each other and listening to each other. And so we talk a lot about self-care, that although, we want you to spend time with your baby, you can't pour from an empty teacup. So you got to go and fill that up a little bit and still take care of your babies so that they get the best of you, but also because then you feel good too. And that helps you to keep moving forward. You need a little bit of nature. Get out of the house. A lot of times the moms want to kind of stay in the house and kind of connect with their babies, which again, very important. But I tell them, even if you just stick your head out the window, out the porch, get a little bit of vitamin D,
Right.
That kind of thing. So those are the things that we teach them. We teach them about affirmations and things that they can say to themselves. Thinking about maybe some prenatal or some postpartum yoga, ways to unwind, ways to relax. So we just have a continual list because we have 10 weeks of group. So we get to know them, they get to know us, and we talk openly about everything doesn't work for everybody, but we give a lot of ideas and suggestions, and then we encourage them to talk to each other about what their experience is like, because that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, sounds like you're helping to build a community, which I know BIH
Yes.
does especially well. Talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Well, it's so important because you leave that legacy even when you're not in the program. So as hard as it is for us to see them finish up and go,
I'm finishing up right
now. She's finishing up. We tell them you're always part of our BIH family, So call us, call each other, tell other people about the program, because that's how we're going to build our community, and that's how we're going to keep things moving and growing in a positive direction. So that community is really the key to, again, being seen and heard, because so many of our moms have experiences where they were traumatized in some ways, through different systems, the racism, all those kinds of things that they are living with, and trying to do a good job as a parent raising their child to be aware, but also to experience some Black joy.
I love that. Black joy is essential, right? I want to pivot a little bit and talk about rest. Rest is something I think that comes easy for others and harder for most, I would say. How are you finding moments of rest when Julian is kind of taking his nap or what have you? What are you doing to make sure that you care for yourself by way of rest? And also, how important is rest for moms?
Oh my gosh, it's important. I don't do it enough. I will admit that. They tell you from the very beginning, sleep when your baby sleeps, right? And of course, like when you're waking up every couple hours, that's different. Now we're in a full swing of baby sleeps through the night, all of that. But he has his moments of napping, and you would think that I would take a moment to close my eyes, and I do not. And I struggle with that because it's a matter of what can I get done while he's sleeping, the stuff that I can't do while he's awake. So I don't prioritize that as much as I probably should. And rest to me isn't just sitting down and watching TV. I understand that may be for some people. For me, it's sleeping and doing what I need to like regenerate myself to be better. And I don't do the best at it. I could use a
There's
little.
no judgment, sis.
But
And you're a working mom
yeah,
too.
Yeah. So, and I know listen, when it's the weekend, I love not an alarm morning.
Yeah.
It's nice and my baby sleeps in. But I should prioritize it a little more and try a little harder. But you know what? I'm on my phone scrolling through social media. When I get that Sunday notification of how many hours I've spent on my phone a day,
That's the worst, right?
it's terrible. I should turn it off so that I don't have that
Yeah.
experience each week, but I don't because I look at it and I'm like,
It's like you spent 7 hours last week, and it's like, really?
it's usually 8. It's around 8 hours.
Hey, listen, no judgment. Like,
How am I on my phone for 8 hours? I think it's not accounting for the time the screen is just on when it's over there. I don't think I'm on it for 8 hours. But if I am, how many of those hours could I have been asleep and getting the rest that I really need? So I'm working on it. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, and are you
Adjusting.
And I love that for you. And I think, and I know that you'll get there. And I think as a working mom, like I said, no judgment, and I mean that because you're trying to forge the path that works best for you and for your little one as well. What are you teaching these women about rest? Rest is so important, but I think it's the hardest thing,
And it's also underrated.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Say it again.
We just assume, that everybody does it, and you really have to sometimes intentionally make that effort to rest. And rest, again, can be defined in lots of different ways.
True.
It may not necessarily be in your bed with your PJs, closing your eyes. It could be putting your feet up, closing your eyes, massaging your temples, having a drink of water, getting some deep breaths, maybe some affirmations. It just can look different for each person. And so we talk to them about, what does that look like to you? What does that mean to you? And I also tell them, you have to talk yourself into intentional rest, because we will talk ourselves out of it. Like Alita was saying, I got to do this, I got to do that. Oh, I need to be on my phone. I need to, and I just was sharing recently with someone, talk yourself into giving yourself permission to rest.
Yeah.
So we got to change up the dialogue a little bit and talk openly and honestly first to ourselves so that we can speak the truth to other people.
I appreciate that because you hit on something very important. You said rest looks different for everyone. And I think some people say, oh, you need to go lay down. It's like, well, no, I don't rest like that. Yeah. And so I'm sure you found ways that, as you mentioned, that work for you, that may to someone else look like you're not resting, right? So tell me a little bit more about how you're leaning into that.
So I love when my baby goes to bed at night, right?
Some mom out there either honked or high five who's listening to this.
They've got a good schedule, and he knows when to go, and he goes, and it's not usually a fight, so yay for that. And then I kind of think about how much time do I have?
Yeah.
And it depends how tired I am, right? Because that's going to determine, am I getting in this bed at 10:30 or am I getting in this bed at 11:30?
Right.
Am I looking up and it's midnight already? All many different factors. I know I'm not sleeping at this point in time as much as I really should, because that's true rest for me. But being able to finish a movie, to like pay attention to the movie, first of all, and not, watch what he's doing, what he's getting into, but like actually sitting. I've watched a lot of movies over the last year, and most of them I can't tell you anything about. I didn't retain any of it because I wasn't really watching it. But being able to sit there and watch it and really understand what's going on and be like, oh, that was a good movie. Like I watched Straw. I was like, oh, that was a good movie. Okay. But I did it, at night while the baby was asleep so that I could focus. And that to me is a good relaxing moment. It oftentimes includes a glass of champagne.
I know that's right.
I opened that bottle. I'm like, I got 5 days to drink this, and just pour me a glass and sit down. That's a good resting moment for me.
Good for you. I love that for you. Now we're getting ready to land the plane. And the last question I have for both of you. Yeah, you see it right in there. You like that? As we get ready to land the plane here, I have one more question for both of you. And that is, what advice would you give to a working mom listening right now? What have you learned for you, Lita, around the topic of rest and the topic of burnout? And for you, what would you share about what advice you have for the mom who's listening right now, who might not be part of BIH, who needs to be, right? That would help her around the topic of rest and burnout. We'll start with you, Alita.
So Angie, I think, said it very well about leaning into certain things and recognizing when things are at that point of burnout or almost burnout, because we don't want to get to the point.
No, we really don't.
So it's like, what do we do so we avoid that?
Mm-hmm.
And getting the proper rest, whatever that looks like for you. So leaning into understanding that I'm going to hit that point, and here's what I need to do, whether it's utilizing my resources and my support from the women we've met, from our families, from our friends, whoever it is that we have available to us, being able to lean into them as well to say, what can I do to avoid this happening? So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to avoid it. So let's focus on what we can do to get you to the point where we turn it around and we're not hitting the burnout. With your rest and whatever else it looks like for you, whether it's your glass of champagne or your red wine, whatever you do.
I love that. Or the community you built in the Black Infant Health cohort, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Angela?
I would say also learning that it's okay to ask for what you need.
Mm.
Sometimes it's very hard for us as Black women
Yes.
to identify it and to say it out loud,
Yes.
because we think we're supposed to be everything to everybody all the time. And it's really okay to say stop, take a breath, and figure out what is it that I really need in this moment or even down the line. And then being willing to ask for it, knowing that some people may get it, some people may not, but putting a voice to the silence. I think that we've unfortunately kind of endured some of the pain and the hurt and the sadness that has just kind of worn us down a little bit. We need to speak up, and we need to be proud of our voice and realize, like I said, that sometimes people will respond.
Yeah.
Other times people will question it. But the most important thing is you identifying what it is that is going to be helpful to me. And if you're not sure, that's when you want to talk to a family, friend, a mental health professional to help me identify those things, because it's inside of you. It just needs permission to come out.
I love that. I want to thank both of you ladies and you sisters for this fantastic conversation. I know someone somewhere is going to be that much more rich for what they've heard from both of you today.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to the Black Infant Health Project. Want to thank you all for joining us for a conversation around rest and resistance, working moms, burnout, and boundaries. For more information about the Black Infant Health Project, visit blackinfanthealth.org. I'm Cameron Green. Thank you. Take care.